What's up, my friends? Today we're going to be covering the popular topic of if you're alone in the woods, would you rather run into a man or a bear? Now, I know which I would prefer, but here at Pantry Preparedness, we preach the importance of preparedness in all predicaments. So we're going to cover both situations, so all your bases are covered.
And we're going to break it down into 3 categories, so you can easily develop a safety plan for just about any situation. First and foremost is practicing good situational awareness. You want to keep your eyes open and your ears so you can detect a threat long before it's actually here. Wearing things like headphones, hoodies, staring down at your phone are all a great way to open yourself up for all sorts of terrible things, making you much more vulnerable to any type of threat.
You've probably already seen this video of this girl snowboarding. She's got her ears plugged and she's listening to whatever music, right? And she's completely unaware of this monster chasing her down the hill. This could have ended very differently if she had waited just a few more seconds to get started, or if she'd fallen on her run, or if the run had been just a little bit shorter.
Being blissfully unaware of nearby threats usually doesn't work out nearly as well as it did for her. Usually it gives the threat the advantage of the element of surprise, giving you little to no time to react. Check out this mountain biker that just barely noticed this grizzly on his trail, just in time to give himself a little bit of distance.
And even so, he starts hauling it as hard as he can.
And barely stays out of reach.
He's looking back and the bear's like keeping up with him. And then he runs into a log and has to ditch the bike.
Worst case scenario.
Runs across a clearing and like hides behind a tree. It's like a kid hiding under the bed. Like, I hope they forget that I'm here and just lose interest.
Crossing his fingers that this bear can't smell him pee in his pants.
And like, he's so fortunate that somebody else was there and they were prepared with a pistol, or a gun at least, and they were able to fire a couple of shots, not necessarily even at the bear. Just the noise alone was enough to scare the bear off.
Give him an opportunity to escape.
Which brings us to our next point of having the right tools and being prepared to defend yourself, whether you run into a man or a bear.
So what should you carry to protect yourself against both of these threats?
Now, you might think you're pretty tough or you're big enough. Maybe you actually do have a bit of a size advantage in most cases. So you might feel like you can handle yourself against a man or maybe even a bear. But honestly, like, you don't know how tough they are or even how much they train.
You might think a pistol is going to be your best option to deal with one of these threats.
Totally.
But according to Fish and Wildlife, it's actually safer to use bear spray against a bear.
Really?
Yeah,
I can
absolutely.
imagine that if a bear's charging you, it might be kind of tough to hit that, especially just with all the panic, right?
Right.
But at the same time, the firearm is going to have a much longer range and it's going to make a loud sound, which we know is often frightening to a bear.
Right. But you do lose the blast radius that you get with bear spray. It's going to spray out kind of like a shotgun, making it a lot easier to actually make contact with your target. Also, it lingers in the area, so the bear's not going to want to hang out. They got a real strong sniffer, so it's going to be affecting them a lot more than it is you.
I got to tell you this story. So I have a family member, an extended family member, who literally, like, they had a can of bear spray in their car. It's just like rolling on the floor. Probably not the best idea. Keeping it in your bag's probably safer. But one of their kids got a hold of it and thought it was a water bottle, pulled the top off, and then I don't know what water bottle has a trigger on it, but he sprayed it straight like in his face. And
wow,
whole car, like, immediately pull over, everybody get out of the car, and ruin the trip.
Like we were saying, it fogs the whole environment. So it wasn't just the kid getting sprayed in the face. I'm sure everybody in the car.
It is very strong. And again, since bears have such a strong sense of smell compared to us, way more than us, it makes sense. They're going to want to leave the area, even if they weren't even super directly hit.
Totally.
So I could see that. But I have a can of bear spray from a trip to Yellowstone like 7 years ago. I'm pretty sure it's expired. I don't think they last that long. They last several years.
It's only 5 years that they last. And come to think of it, I have had the same one in my go bag that sits in the back of my car. And it's been back there at least 7 years. In heat. You know, I actually measured the inside temperature of my car the other day. The leather got up to 160 degrees. On the can, it says that they should only go up to 120 degrees. So I far exceeded that. So I would be really interested to see if we actually still have the same amount of propellant, if it's still able to shoot out the same way that a newer can would. See if they're actually still worth keeping around.
Right. And honestly, it's a good idea to kind of test these kinds of products. I've never deployed a can of bear spray. I've never needed to.
Same.
And at like, I don't know, 40, 50 bucks a pop nowadays.
It's hard to justify.
It is, which is why I love the 2-packs at Costco. So whenever they have them, it's like, I think I'll buy another 2-pack. So I actually have some new bear spray. So I'm totally game to spray off that old can.
All right.
I think we should do it.
Let's do it. Let's see how well it does. All right. We're in biz.
Frontiersman.
Run away! Run away! All right, go for it.
Moving. This one's from only 10 feet, so we can see the pattern.
Is the wind moving the right way?
Yeah, I can feel it on the back of my neck.
It did leave a lot of residue on the paper.
Yeah, it did.
It has this
Okay,
cover
we're
on it. So you don't accidentally push the button.
Gotcha.
Here's the trigger. It's not very impressive. It's super hard to push the button.
Yeah, if a guy was right on you.
That would be a problem.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I'm just saying, distance-wise, like, if a guy was right on you, that would do it.
Yeah. It's
But-
just whether you'd be able to press it in time, because I had to get like my other hand on here just to be able to push it down. So I don't know. It could have been because I didn't take proper care of it. Sat in the car, things like that. But let's see if that compares. Ready?
Yep. Still basically the same pattern.
Interesting. All right. What do you think of the spray test?
I didn't particularly like it.
No, me neither. It's interesting to have used it, though. Now we know
Absolutely. I'm
how it
glad
works.
that we've used the can before.
Right.
And I've seen it. So, the way these sprayed, you can see here, we're standing 30 feet away, and you get a nice projectile that goes that length that it says it should. It doesn't, like, paint the paper at 30 feet.
Yeah, we couldn't really see it
Yeah.
from that distance on the paper, but despite that, we know that it was affecting that area because we got affected by the blowback.
We ran uphill and upwind, like right after spraying that first can because we had no idea. But apparently we didn't run far enough.
Nope.
Because like 10 seconds later, I start coughing, and then I would have thought, there's none of this on me. But so I just rubbed my eyes like that with my arm, and they started burning. I had to go to the car. Pro tip, Jake told me, and this makes a ton of sense, right? Just stab the lid of a water bottle, and then you can use it as an eye wash station.
Portable eye wash station.
Just need a water bottle.
And a pocket knife. You're good to go. So it works at 30 feet, but it doesn't really paint the object at that distance. So we cut that distance, went down to 10 feet, still using the large can, because we wanted to see roughly what the diameter of the spray pattern was going to be.
Right.
Know how big of an area we can affect.
And the 10 feet, I mean, that's 2 feet across.
At least.
Solid, like a solid paint on the tree. Well, on the paper.
So if you were able to paint that bear's nose or that man's face, he is not going to want to move, not going to want to do anything from that point on.
He's just going to get in the fetal position and cry, I think.
I think so. That's what
A
we
bear's
did.
going to run off. Bears are a little tougher than a lot of men, especially nowadays. But but I think a lot of men now would probably just lay down and cry.
Yeah.
It's not what we did. But we also didn't take it straight in the face. I mean, we only got like a little whiff of it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
it's tough stuff.
Just from a distance, just from a breeze, it was overwhelming, to say the least.
I hate the smell of capsaicin.
Yeah. right? I thought I liked spicy food.
Yeah, not anymore.
I'm good for the time being.
So then we tried some of these smaller ones, right? So we've got this jogger can. That's been in your car getting hot.
Again, yeah, it just sits in the glove box because if we're going to go on a hike or something, I want to have it readily available
Yeah.
right as we're heading out.
And that one said 10 feet. But
10 feet was its effective range, but when we sprayed it from 10 feet,
yeah.
first off, the nozzle wasn't really letting out the
spray.
material. Yeah, I was pushing it as hard as I could. I had to actually get my second hand on it to be able to push the top hard enough to get the spray to come out, which in an emergency situation is far less than ideal. You want to be able to discharge whatever your defense is without extra work, extra time.
Yeah, and that could just be, again, because it was sitting for so long in a hot environment or
Likely
whatever.
from care, not from the quality of the product.
Right. Then we tried one of these little smaller handheld pepper sprays.
It's a keychain one. It's so small.
You can buy these at Walmart or gas stations. You find them everywhere now. Oftentimes, like with the running stuff. And I don't know, it was pretty effective. As you get smaller in size, it's just putting out a lot less material and covering a lot smaller diameter. But like, these giant ants on me. But it's still like going to be effective on a person.
Yeah.
On a bear? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Any of those small cans, I think, is going to be lacking if you were to run into, especially a dangerous bear. I mean, if you run into like a 50 or 100 pound black bear, it's probably going to run away and you're not going to really even need to pull any of these out. If you're dealing with something a lot bigger than that gets on the offense, then I think that you're going to want that full can worth of material and the velocity that comes from that bigger can to be able to cover the distance. Last thing I want to do is let a grizzly get within 10 feet.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to spray that can. That was the other thing. So I'm starting to spray that can easily at 30 feet. But one of the things I noticed is these cans, a lot of them set on them like 7 seconds. Or that last one said, what, like 4 seconds. They lasted longer than that.
Significantly longer. It was at least 8 seconds, probably 10 seconds.
The ones that said 7 were at least 10, maybe 15 seconds. I sprayed the first one for a little while and then I stopped because I wanted to get out of there. And then I came back and sprayed it again for another 4 or 5 seconds. So got pretty good spray out of that. So I don't think I would wait until like, it's like, wait till you see the whites of their eyes. Like, no, that bear's getting anywhere within, 30 feet, 10 yards. If you ever played football and you know how far 10 yards is, like, you estimate that. As soon as it's anywhere within there, I'm like,
absolutely. And honestly, it could work even further than that, especially if the wind is acting in your favor.
Good point.
So even just affecting the area is going to keep that bear from wanting to come anywhere near us. Because even though we weren't downwind when after Ricky sprayed, it still affected us pretty severely in a way I wouldn't want to hang around any longer than necessary.
Not. So I guess for me, the short of it is, if I'm out in the wilderness, on the trail, if that's the question, man or bear, I'm just going to use bear spray.
Big can.
Right, big can, full-size can. Now, it's probably not practical to carry bear spray in an urban situation.
Especially not while jogging.
Right.
You don't want any extra weight, things bouncing around on you.
Right, or you're going out, like, you're sending your daughter off to college and she's going to be out doing stuff and she's walking home by herself, maybe not making the best choice of, like, where to walk or whatever.
Time to walk.
You want her to be protected, right? But you need something that she's going to be able to carry in her little clutch, right? And so I think one of these little keychain ones is going to work pretty well.
Absolutely. Now, these have all been foggers. They affect the entire area. If you're in an enclosed space, you're not going to want to discharge one of these foggers if you want to be able to also be able to get out of there. You're going to affect more than just the person that you're spraying. Yeah. So they also make ones that just are gel. They spray in a stream and they stick to whatever it is that you're spraying it on. Something like that might be better for personal defense in a more urban situation. Yeah. But every situation is going to be a little bit different. So make a choice based on the environment.
Now on the trail, you have another option, right? Because another thing that will often deter a bear attack, at least, maybe not a man, but a bear, is loud noises. Now, even a man can be deterred by noise because it's alerting other people to the situation.
Especially if there's other people nearby. If you're way out in the wilderness.
Yeah, if we're out here and I yell, help, nobody's coming.
Yeah.
They're not going to hear that.
Right.
But a bear will often be deterred by a loud noise. And so the Department of Fish and Wildlife says that using an air horn or even just yelling at the bear is actually quite effective.
One of the most effective. And you pretty
suppose.
much always have your voice too. It's always on you.
Yeah. So it's a good choice. But I think that leads us really well to our third
Yes.
form of defense against bears and men.
Really any type of threat. That's communication. You want to let others know where you're going to be, when they can expect you back, so that if something were to happen, they can get emergency personnel or, go track you down, see what's going on. Last thing you want is for your employer the next day to be calling your family and friends to find out why you didn't show up to work.
Yeah.
At that point, you've probably been mauled by the bear or worse. So communication is key. Letting others know when to expect you is going to get you out of some of those bad situations.
And that's key. So if you're going to go off into the wilderness, especially by yourself, but I think even in a group, it's valuable to let somebody who's not going out know where you're going so that they know where to send search and rescue, and let them know how long to expect you to be gone, when to expect you to be back, or maybe when to check in with you if it's not somebody who you live at the same residence or something. So it's like, hey, you know what? If I don't check in with you by Sunday afternoon around 4 o'clock, I should be home before that. So
Right.
Try calling me. If you can't get a hold of me at that point, there's probably something wrong.
Right. Now, there's another option that is very compact, something the girls wouldn't mind having on their keychain or in their purse, and that is this little clip-on device.
It works just like a grenade. You pull the pin.
And it makes a terrible noise.
You don't have to even throw it. You just hold on to it.
Yeah, you just hold on to it. But I think that that's loud enough and annoying enough that it would likely work against wildlife as well. So it might even be worth having in a pack.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be particularly effective in that urban setting too, because it is going to alert people. I think maybe even more so than just like yelling help. Like, I don't know, when somebody yells something, you almost don't know, is that just kids screwing around? Like, I'll hear, like, it can be 10 o'clock at night and you'll hear some like kids screaming. And it's like some kids in the park screwing around, or some kid just getting in trouble at their home nearby, right? So we aren't necessarily always super like alert when somebody just yells for help. But when you hear an alarm, you hear a car alarm, your eyes turn to it. You hear something like this, I think you at least turn and look, right?
Absolutely. And one of the best deterrents is just to be where other people are. It kind of goes against the whole man versus bear
Like, I want to be by
debate.
myself because
Right.
I don't want anyone to hurt me.
But really, people are what's going to provide the most safety for you. If you're surrounded by a lot of people, other people aren't going to attack you because they don't want witnesses. So if you're also able to alert people to where you're at, bring people to your defense, that's going to do a lot towards making the situation a lot safer.
So to wrap things up, in order to make sure you stay safe, again, whether you encounter a scary man or a friendly bear, probably a scary bear.
Probably scary.
Because friendly bears, you don't have to worry about.
They're only in cartoons.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Anyway, whatever you're going to run into, it could even be a moose, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just to...
They're
extend this-
dangerous.
They are. They kill more people than bears, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. I've heard they're more dangerous.
something like that.
Anyway, whatever you're going to run into, except maybe a Siberian tiger. It's best, no, even in that situation. It's best to make sure that you maintain situational awareness. I think that is key, number one. Number two, make sure that for whatever situation you're in, you have the right tools to be able to protect yourself if you have that unfortunate encounter. And then number three, make sure that you have proper lines of communication to be able to alert others if you do end up in a dangerous situation and you need some help. If you cover all three of those bases, you're absolutely going to be completely prepared.
And that's what we're here for. Make sure that we're staying prepared. Until next time, this has been Jake and Rick with Pantry Prep.
Don't worry, it all sprayed toward your phone. Just kidding. I actually do think it kind of came back toward us.
No worries, just the thing I put right next to my face. Better you than me. It's still coming. Oh, great.
That did fog more than I expected.
How you doing, Rick?
Okay, like I didn't get anything straight on or anything like that. But after a little bit, it's like it just settled outward. Oh, I got it on my arms or something too. Just rub my eye.
I was gonna say, let's not get it mixed in our sweat.
Yeah.
Does it work?
It works.
On men.
Oh.
And
we
bears.
weren't anywhere near it.
So far away.
Whew.
Like we said, it fills the entire
and that
environment.
did it.
We were going to have some water bottles over here to be able to rinse off with, but we kind of forgot that.
Okay. Well, I'll just keep blinking it out for the next hour.
Foreseeable future.
Rule number 10, never rub your eyes after deploying pepper spray.